Okay, there it is. I was wondering if anyone was going to join in today, just waiting to see if people are here. So, good evening, everybody. Back at home today for a little change, which is kind of fun. So, yeah. Here to talk about, of course, new VonG X and everything, because that's kind of our big thing for right now. And certainly want to tell you a little bit more about where it came from, what it does, and take questions, keep things kind of flowing. All right. You should be there. Okay. Oh, yeah. I can see Catman back there for sure. Because I've moved it. I'll move around. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's get that thing out and look at it a little bit. Sorry, I just had to arrange a couple things so I could see what people are saying on YouTube. Cool. Got it. Getting hit with snow. Actually, we got snow here kind of this morning. Woke up and there was snow all over. Some kitty cats got to go play in the snow today. It was pretty fun to watch. Yep. And yeah, I think did you go? All right. So if you're watching on Twitch, throw your colon in the chat and win a Mystery M or Mysterium, depending on how you want to pronounce it, which is I think kind of fun. Well, I'm happy to be here too, Marcus Max. Does using the magnet help to make the clicks more strong? I don't know about more strong, but sometimes people say it makes them a little bit easier to hear, but it also cools the end of the cap down a little bit faster too, which is kind of fun. Couple inches yesterday, huh? Yeah, I'd like to see more snow for sure. There, a little bit easier to see now. Camera just aiming that way. Is it normal to see message leave by the moderator? If you're just putting your colon in the chat, yeah, that's pretty common. It helps keep the chat a little bit more clear. So it's also a way of actually getting confirmation or acknowledging that your entry has been confirmed. That's mostly just on Twitch. Okay. Hello, DM Tango. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with the way the new VonG looks. Let's take a look at it. There. Kind of multi-texture, kind of multi-color, but not in the colorful sense, you know, from bright and shiny silver to more of a matte finish. It's a little bit darker to shiny titanium to somewhat shiny stainless to the color and sheen of the cap. Definitely kind of fun. Yeah. Looks like Sen Rubin has been drawn as the winner for the Mysterium. So cheers. What you got in your cup tonight? I think I've got some lavender chamomile in mine. Oh, do we talk about custom cap engravings? Not on this stream, but certainly in the past. We've done it, and I think it's about time for that to come back. I think that'd be a nice add-on. In fact, if you'd like to see custom engravings on caps or stems, uh, let's do something else that's kind of fun. Like, let's do like an exclamation in the chat, just so I can kind of get a feel for how appealing is custom engraving for people. And you know, what do you want engraved? Put that in there too. Uh, let us know what you're looking for. I think the more we can have a solid understanding of what people are looking for, I think the easier it becomes to kind of cater to those wants or needs. Well, custom could mean anything. Oh, hi, Smiley. Uh, from just some simple text to what do you want? And I'm curious, what do you want? Hmm? Say hi, Smiley. Yeah, you just like that. Oh, you want to run away, don't you? Okay. Any new colors for the B2? Not yet. Not yet. Does the body stay cooler in the VonG when heating it multiple times? It's hard for me to really answer that because it's kind of relative. You know, you gotta say relative to what? Um, and then I see a question: new shorter midsection and condenser is compatible with the newer pieces. Well, the newer condenser, okay, is uh, definitely shorter. So for the shorter length midsections that we kind of used to call bodies, if you have one of the old ones, yep, that's going to fit just fine. If you have any aftermarket ones that are this shorter length of about 45 millimeters, are going to fit fine. And when we give you more of the shorter ones that are going to be this length, these will fit, as well as there will be other options. Yes. In fact, the Finley uses the same length shorter condenser, as well as has its own kind of somewhat custom mouthpiece too. Yeah. And a wood VonG X, yeah, definitely, definitely want to have some more wood options. Yeah. Honeycomb, that's fun too. Position the airport. Yep. Yep. The adjustable airport not really gonna do the same thing on a stem that has an airport in a regular spot. So it'd be just like any other mouthpiece. Have to be all manual roll between your fingers, which really isn't that hard to do. And something that I find rather uh, simple and intuitive is let's hold it between my fingers like this and just simply rolling a little bit, which if you look at this, I mean, if you have the dexterity to roll between your fingers this far, this is enough to go from all the way open to all the way closed. It doesn't take much. And so you can really fine tune it. Even as you're taking a draw, you can just literally wiggle your fingers just a little bit. Just fine tune exactly the airflow that you're looking for. Yeah. A long VonG would be amazing. That sounds like, I think that'd be good too. Spearmint tea, huh? It's okay to keep the airport closed. Well, if that's what you like, I think it's okay. Uh, Probably worth just chatting a little bit about that feature in and of itself, because it's somewhat, I wouldn't say controversial, but I think it's probably the one feature in our device that has more opinions associated with it than any other feature. You know, some people don't ever want any part of it open, and they'll put O-rings on the condenser or block it off with something. And others leave it wide open all the time. And a good portion of people will obstruct it partially or fully, occasionally or repeatedly, off and on throughout a single draw, and everywhere in between. So with this design, you can adjust the maximum amount of air that flows through by adjusting and rotating just a little bit, so you can really kind of dial it in. Or you can roll between your fingers, leave it wide open or just partially obstructed, so it goes from fully obstructed to partially obstructed to make it somewhat binary. You can do all those things. And of course, which is also fun, is this condenser can be installed into the tip, which then, uh, if you just have a 14 millimeter water tool, the 14 millimeter seals against this part here that's above the airport, effectively automatically blocking off the airport. So you don't even need the mouthpiece on at all. But if you did want air to flow through, you could run it this way and you can still touch the airport with your finger. While this part, which is also got a 14 millimeter taper on it, in your water piece. So rather multifunctional in that regard. So that there, I think that kind of answers your question about the airport. What? Okay, looks like Goth Botanical got the Mysterium on YouTube. So thanks for participating. Okay, I see a question here on YouTube. looking to buy Dynavap, it's a vaporizer, or I prefer to call them thermal extraction device because I think it's a little bit more accurate description of what the product is. Don't think to use it all the time, so just want a simple device. Well, I think the VonG is actually nice and simple. It's not at the high end of our range, but it's up there. A little bit more than a Unidyne, but not much. You know, it's a hybrid device, you know, somewhat stainless, somewhat titanium. The Unidyne also, I think, is a really, really good choice. And it doesn't have a lot of parts. But if you want to go really simple as the first time, I think let's see, I don't have a B2 behind me, but I do have a B. The B2 is largely the same in terms of silicone stem. It just has a little bit of an updated tip. Stainless steel, really easy to use, and rather inexpensive. Comes, you know, in a tin with a lighter. Oh, look at that! I do have a tip. Yeah, so I can show that off. So this is the B2 tip. Really neat looking piece. I think rather well functioning thermal break between the chamber and the stem. And of course the silicone is really great for dealing with the heat. It's got a nice profile so that you can get a nice grip on it. Decently sharp teeth on the end of the chamber, so you don't even really need a grinder. You can just kind of grind it right off a whole nug, which is also kind of nice. And you don't even need O-rings. It's just a couple parts, you know, silicone, condenser, stainless on the inside, tip, a CCD, and a cap. And that's all the parts. So I see Price Walsh says I get better flavor with the airport closed. And I'm not going to dispute that, but I am going to ask a question that's, have you ever tried changing how hard and how fast you draw? Because believe it or not, if you draw less hard, everything stays hot longer and you can get a whole lot of overall vapor production because you're not cooling things down quite as fast. It's completely moving away from fins. Oh, I don't know. I mean, we just released this tip a couple months ago, so I wouldn't say that that's necessarily accurate. I mean, when we look at the VonG X tip, yeah, there's no fins there, but that was kind of done that way for a different purpose because our goal here with this tip was to literally get as much mass as we practically could right here behind the chamber. So instead of putting more mass around the chamber, like with an armored cap or with a thicker wall on the chamber, we put the mass behind the chamber so you can heat low on the cap and store all that thermal energy right here. So it doesn't make the device any longer or more complicated. It doesn't add any additional parts, but it gives more mass to store heat. We even went so far as to undercut underneath that mass, which then also extends the distance of the thermal break from here beyond where you see it ending up into this mass, giving us the longest thermal break we've had before, especially one that doesn't contain any fins. So and this wall thickness here is very, very thin, so it minimizes how much heat can transfer, so allowing that extra heat and temperature to be in there longer and transferring less heat to stem. So it looks like I had some. Yep. How much does it weigh? Oh, I should know that right offhand. And all of a sudden, I just kind of blanked on the number, but I'm pretty sure it's over 6 grams for the VonG X tip. It may even be over 7. Just there was a lot of weights that I was looking at back and forth when we were going through dev, and I don't remember where we finally landed. But yeah, it's got a lot of mass. So show it assembled and disassembled. Okay, so this is not the way it's likely going to come to you in the packaging. It's going to be likely more opposite, where, okay, mouthpiece, okay, variable flow mouthpiece is going to be installed in the 10 millimeter taper section, so that when you adjust the mouthpiece, you can see that the air port closes off slowly. And then the tip is going to have the condenser mounted to it, which gives a very different airflow pattern than what we've had in the past. Because now the vapor is going to leave the extraction chamber and enter directly into the condenser, effectively undiluted. But coaxial space between the condenser and the inside of the stem to really minimize the heat transfer that you're going to get to the stem. Okay, because the condenser is going to get hot fast because that vapor going through it. And then there's going to be a small gap between the condenser and the mouthpiece. And so when you allow some air to come in, especially when you're using it, just like this, that air has a very, very short path. It literally comes in and goes out. Kind of around the condenser until you get to the end of the condenser, which is like right about where the mouthpiece is, but you can adjust that. And so that room temperature air is hitting your vapor that's already cooled down a fair bit just coming from here to here. So every unit of air that comes in is going to have more of a effect on how much it cools things down, but it's cooling things down right as they're exiting versus right as they're coming in. So it doesn't condense much of that vapor and give it a wall or area or something inside to stick to. So there's that configuration. I'm just trying to catch up a little bit. Oh, thanks for the likes on YouTube, by the way. Really appreciate that. Super cool to see some good activity happening over there. You connect the condenser to any tip to bypass airflow. Okay. That's a really good question. Can you connect the condenser to any tip? So the answer is not really. It will connect to many titanium tips, okay? Because the titanium tips have a smaller bore that's roughly the same inside diameter as the mouthpiece. They won't have the little grooves to make it detent in, but it'll likely still work. But the stainless tips tend to have a little bit bigger bore because we just want to have a little bit more flow through there and some different options. So for the most part, they're not going to work well because it won't hold in place. The idea is too big. The VonG X tip is actually different than any other titanium tip we've made before because the inside diameter of this stainless tip is the same as for the stainless mouthpiece and is largely the same as all of the titanium tips we've made over the years. So, which is roughly 5 millimeters. So this will fit. So, so outside of the tips that focus on airflow, like the helix, loving tips with thermal mass below the tip. Yeah, and that's a big part of what this represents. Okay, when people started adding mass to their caps, it's like it made it really clear that people wanted more mass, wanted their device to stay hot longer, which didn't quite make sense to me at first because when I was first doing design work on these products, the intent was to really minimize how big and heavy things were and minimize how long it takes to get hot and also minimize how long it stays hot so you could heat it up, take a taste, have it cool down, and move on. Then, as I learned more about people wanting more mass, wanting to stay hot longer, and then adding mass to caps, it's like, well, okay, there's a whole other subset of people out there that's looking for very different performance characteristics. So that's when we started looking at other ways to add mass, not just to the caps, but, well, can we put that mass right on the tip? Because we've got this empty space between the chamber and where it connects to the stem. Can we just add that mass right there and just make it more functional so we can get that functionality without an additional part? And I think that's a lot of what the VonG X tip represents is the reallocation of some of the material that would otherwise be machined out uh, into a way where it can serve an additional function to improve how much heat you can put into the tip and how long it stays hot for the people that are looking for things to stay hot longer. So, so lock in on both ends interchangeably, work without what? Good question. Not technically, okay. It kind of goes through, okay. But the end of the mouthpiece is ever so slightly smaller than the bore. So, I mean, sometimes you can push it a little bit further on because the outside diameter of this is not quite consistent. So if you rub your fingers down the length, you'll find that it kind of goes up and down a little bit. So that means most mouthpieces have a little bit of an ability to kind of latch on. And yeah, it would technically work, but keep in mind this tip is going to get hot. The condenser is also going to get hot, so you'd have to keep your fingers just on the mouthpiece. So it's doable. If you bent this ever so slightly, it would really wedge in there too. You could make it really small. But you could also make a really small piece of uh, tubing and have a really cute little guy. How far does the undercut travel on the tip? Oh, it's we were messing around with a couple different depths and whatnot. I'm gonna have to see. I don't know if this is for sure the production version or not to measure, but pretty sure it's over a millimeter, and it might even be more than that. So when we think about the thermal break here, just for example, condenser tube is roughly 5 millimeters. So this gap is just a hair over 5 millimeters. You add another millimeter of undercut, you're going from 5 to 6. It's like a 20% increase in the length of the thermal break. So, and since that metal is so thin, it may result in a pretty significant decrease in heat transfer just doing that. Okay. Heat cycle with the wand, armored cap, the VonG X. I don't know if I've got a wand within reach right here. I'm kind of I'm at home tonight because different things going on. It just made more sense to broadcast from here. I don't have everything at my fingertips. Yeah. So, and yep, I think the armored cap definitely does make using our products easier for the beginner, at least to get the heating part right. It just takes a little bit longer to warm up and it stays hot longer. But if you're cool with that, I think it's a good way to go, and I think a lot of people start that way. Um, how long does the device take to machine out? If you're talking about a VonG, oh boy, um, I gotta add up all the times. Um, I think it's I think it's under 10 minutes when you add up all the parts, but that's after a fair amount of optimization of a lot of programs and experience, and of course some of these machines are pretty quick. But you think about there's a lot going on to machine all the different parts, and not just machine them, which is the manufacturing side of thing, but design and iterate and get all the geometry kind of moved around and dialed in. Yeah, yeah. I think the Hyperdyne bundle is pretty nice. Yeah, it's important that the VonG fit in 14 millimeter devices. Kind of has to. I mean, that's kind of thing with the VonG. It's kind of fun. If you spin your VonG tip on the condenser, kind of fidgety. Maybe we should make fidget tools. I think we should make fidget tools. Well, cheers, Jason. Would you put a thermal hypercap and a tip on a VonG X body? I mean, you certainly could. No problem doing that. I can't do it and show you right now because I don't think I have one of those handy to show. But for what it's worth, the VonG X body is the same diameter as the, the hyper cap. So whether it's the thermal hyper cap or the regular hyper cap and hyper tip, the outside lines are all the same. So it looks pretty good. Yeah. Oh, who wants a VonG X? Throw your colon in the chat and we'll ship it to you. It'll cost you just a little bit of your time to get in touch with us. Uh, well, this fidget spinner comes with the VonG X. That's the VonG X condenser, and it fits in the tip. And you push it all the way in. It's actually kind of neat because then the back side of the CCD, which actually has a pretty low friction interface because it's really, really smooth, supports it, and hold it vertically in it. It'll just spin. You know if there'll be any more woodwind bodies up for sale. Currently sold only is complete. Uh, yes. Not completely sure when, but hopefully sometime during the holiday season we should get some of those back up because uh, definitely want more of those. Really like those, and we'll let's see here. Make any more M7 titanium tips. I think so. I know we were just talking about that, so definitely want to see some more of those. I mean, the titanium M parts I think went over really well, and more mini wins would also be fun because, geez, those sold out way faster than we thought both times. B2 stems come to the website as parts. Uh, yeah, good question. I should write that one down because there's no reason they shouldn't be available as a part. Yeah, so get some B2 stems, huh? Yeah, 'cause we definitely have them around. And then it's a good place, you know, we got different colors to sell those. Or mini wins or mini anything. Okay. You know, it's a good question. You know, thought it should have been all titanium. And we did discuss this, you know, does the VonG, should the VonG be all titanium? Well, the first VonG was wood with the titanium tip, no mouthpiece. Later on, we had a Hydra VonG and a Nana VonG. Some had wood mouthpieces, some didn't. Some actually came with titanium mouthpieces. And then we redid the VonG when we redid the Omni, and it had a titanium 10mm taper that kind of looked like a mouthpiece, but integrated, and a wood midsection that wasn't removable. And then the VonG I was all titanium with some removable parts that could be wood. So we've used other materials making VonGs. I mean, the original condensers, original metal condensers were stainless steel in everything except the glass, which was glass. So I guess we've kind of been using mixed metals and mixed materials on a lot of our stuff for quite a while, just not all of it. And so I like the question. I understand the thinking. I think in the end, it really comes down to what really matters. You know, if people want all titanium devices, we've got some options. If you think stainless is okay for some parts, well, then we've got some options there too. And if you don't mind everything being stainless, well, we've got options there as well. Anyway, zebra wood mini wind. That might be nice. You guys ever make your own induction heater? Ah, you know, been working on that project for a long time, and I really hope that we'll be sharing it with you next year. So, so on the VonG X, this part is titanium. The mouthpiece, the condenser, and the tip are stainless steel currently. And that actually allowed us to reduce the price even more to make it more approachable. And that doesn't mean we won't potentially have a titanium tip, or for that matter, you can use literally any titanium tip we've ever made will also fit, as well as just about every mouthpiece we've ever made. So if you don't really like stainless, well, the VonG X body can be paired up with other titanium parts. All right, looks like Black Abyss has been selected on YouTube. It was cool to get a few more of these out into the wild. Really looking forward to seeing some reviews from some customers as they're getting their new VonG X. Want to see what you think of it. It's been pretty popular, especially amongst people doing the internal testing. Just heard a lot of really positive things about it, and so it's kind of nice to see, nice to hear. It's got I think, a very different shape and appearance to it than anything else that we've made. Um, the texture is pretty neat. Grabs the light real nice. Yep. Okay, cool. Got that. Yeah, the M plus square port was really fun, wasn't it? Guess the square port comes back. Maybe, maybe, maybe. I did like the square port. Fun stuff. Oh, I definitely remember the cup induction heater. Yeah. I really like the wood stuff for sure. Yeah, we'll be doing colors on these, colors and more textures, using some of our equipment to do various things and change it up because it's just fun to change things up. Just fun, change them up. Okay, so I have in my pocket maybe. That was more empty. Looking at lighters here because something just occurred to me. Yeah. Okay, so congratulations to Cody's son for winning your VonG X. Make sure you send a email to teatime@dynavap.com with your info, and we'll get you all taken care of. More green VAP caps would be nice. Yeah, definitely love the textures too. Got an email for the VonG. There should have been a link in that email. So try checking the email. If you got an email to get early access to VonG X, I think it was just through a link in the email because it goes on sale for everyone. Because all the pre-orders kind of end today. So if you're looking for VonG X, they effectively go on sale tomorrow. Yeah, purple VonG X would be pretty awesome. Huh. Oh, Salty Bunny, send a message to customer service, and if you want, you can copy in tea time, and that way I'll get it as well, and we'll see if we can troubleshoot what's going on. Okay. So anyway, want to talk a little bit about lighters today, because something just occurred to me a little while ago that a fair number of people struggle with lighters. Maybe it's one thing, maybe it's another. Maybe it's adjusting them, getting the flame right. Or what seems to probably cause the most difficulty when it comes to lighters is how to fill them. So, I've talked about in the past using, my favorite is a mechanical pencil, but I'll click the thing and push, to get the metal part to push back in so that I'm not sticking pencil lead, into my lighter fill. That would be optimal. And then you can use this to press on the little valve in there to let a little pressure out, which then lowers the pressure and the temperature inside the lighter, making it easier to fill. And then as I was filling the lighter the other day, I was just kind of pushing on things, and it just occurred to me, I need to slow down a little bit, because what we've done on many of our products is engineer what I refer to as mechanical programming, and that is both this cap and this tip come apart with force, okay, in force in the same direction. But when I grab my cap and pull, it doesn't pull out the tip because they've been programmed mechanically so that the cap has a lower force necessary to remove it than the tip. And why does this matter? Well, it matters because of two things, and they're both called springs. So there's a spring in the valve here, and there's a spring in the valve here. These two springs have a different force required to compress them, or even to begin the compression. And so what that means is if I take my filler and I put it in my lighter a little bit at an angle, okay, and I just slowly press down until I just start to hear a little hiss, okay. What I'm doing is, what I'll notice is that the filler nozzle here is not moving at all. So I'm not pushing hard enough. I'm pushing just hard enough to let the gas out of the lighter tank. And after I do that for a bit, now if you watch, I'm just going to push straight down, and it just fills right up. So now, using, we'll call it the mechanical programming, just carefully press with the right amount of force, pause, and then press all the way process. You can fill your lighters quickly and easily with nothing more than a lighter and a can of gas. No additional tools needed. And I'd like to say that's probably not the first one to think about it, but I'd like to be the person to help share that idea and that messaging out there to make lighters that much easier to operate. Okay. Rewriting the shoot. So, yep, just to answer your question there, Alpine Mind, no need to purge before refilling, because when we, oh, by the way, the Dynatorch makes for a really nice stand for your device when you just set it down. You set that down on any surface, and you can take your, not just a VonG, but just about any device you've ever made, and it just sits right on there like that. So this lighter's already full now. I've got another one that's not completely full, so I can kind of demonstrate one more time. Okay. I think a new, faster, more efficient, easier way to fill your butane lighter is because of the different spring rates between the lighter and the lighter fill nozzle. In other words, if my finger was a scale and I had to push down on the scale until I actuated the valve and gas started to leak out, versus if I put and press down on my lighter on a scale to release the valve, this would take less force than this. What the numbers are doesn't matter. It's less. So when I just slowly push down, especially with my tank at a slight angle, just a slight angle, you don't want to break anything, but we just lightly press, just enough to let some pressure out of the tank, and then press it all the way down, and then actuates this valve, and it fills right up. Yeah. Definitely purple. Can you get the lighter in Australia? I'll check into that. I'm pretty sure that we've sold lighters to companies in Australia, so they should be available. And I'm pretty sure we can ship it because we get all of the Dynatorches from the lighter factory empty, so they're shippable. All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for today. Went over some VonG X stuff, gave two away. So congratulations to you, Cody-san and Black Abyss for winning a VonG X. And oh, well, we'll likely stream again next week. Give an update in terms of what specifically day that might be. Chances are we'll probably do a stream during the week next time. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after, but maybe not quite on Sunday or quite this late. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. Hope you got some useful information out of the stream. If anything, just a nice time to chill out and have a cup of tea, maybe taste some terpenes as you get prepared for either the day ahead or to go to bed. So have a good evening.